Lexus LC 500 is an absolutely stunning creature in person. This thing is art on wheels, is a future icon for sure. But at $100,000 plus, it has to do more than look good, even though I could just stand here and drool over this thing all day long. As always, I'm going to go through this thing from the outside in, talk about what it's been like to live with for the past week. Let's go ahead, take a look. This LC 500, the luxury coupe with the 5-liter engine, one of the few cars that in the Lexus lineup that still has the displacement in the name, where the 500 actually matches the 5-liter V8, and the LC stands for luxury coupe here. This is the GT car. If anybody has an argument over what's a sports car and what's a Grand Tourer, this is like the definition of a Grand Tourer. New for 2024 here, we have a couple of new colors. We've got this copper crest metallic, which is stunning on this car. It's a little odd on the RX than I had a little while ago, but it fits perfectly. It fits beautifully on this car. There's also ultrasonic blue, which I had on a couple of cars in the last year, which looks really nice. I would absolutely love to see it on this car as well, but this copper crest metallic is the way to go. This car is still built out of Toyota City in Japan, which is where the legendary LFA was built. Actually, a lot of the people that worked on the LFA are working on this car as well, on this LC 500. Your options here are going to be coupe form, like this one that we have here. You can get it in a convertible as well, or you can get a hybrid coupe as well, which is going to have a V6 with an electric motor. Really an interesting powertrain, definitely, but the V8 is really the way to go with this car. It just has such a beautiful sound to it. Underneath the hood here, we got the hydraulic lift, as you would expect here with a luxury car. So this V8 here has been around for quite a while. Back when the ISF was introduced back in like 2008, this thing was introduced in what first model year was 2018. So it's an older engine in a newer car. You know, don't mess with success. It is a beautiful engine. Makes great noises here, great power delivery. It is a 5-liter V8, naturally aspirated, no turbochargers or anything. Makes 471 horsepower, 398 pound-feet of torque with 7,300 RPM red line, nice and high. Your 0 to 60 time, if you care about that, is 4.4 seconds. Not exactly blazing speed when you're comparing to other like high-end sports cars, but this here, you know, for what this is, for what this does, this engine is a beautiful thing. It's going to be paired with a 10-speed automatic transmission, no matter whether you get this with the hybrid, whether you get it in coupe form, convertible form, however you get this, you get the 10-speed automatic. Power is going through the rear wheels in every version of this car as well. No all-wheel drive version, just rear-wheel drive. If you want that limited slip differential, if you're going to be pushing this a little bit harder, throwing it through some corners, I want that LSD, then you are going to have to option the sports package or the dynamic handling package. But this particular one does not have that. We'll get into what this one does have as we go here. This is a big car, which you don't really get a sense of when you're looking at pictures or videos typically, but you think of a coupe, you think it's going to be a lot smaller than a typical like sedan. This is actually a little bit bigger than most compact sedans. It's going to be bigger than your IS 500, your IS 350, your like Corolla, Elantra, Civic, that sort of level of sedan. And it's almost a foot longer than the Jaguar F-Type, if that gives you a better sense of scale. But it's a big, big car. It's also wider than most compact sedans. A nice long wheelbase, 113 inches on the wheelbase. Big 21s really help with the visual appeal of this thing. It's just such a beautiful car, especially in this copper crest. Again, pictures and videos don't do this thing justice. This color is absolutely beautiful in person. But these 21s, so you get these 21s standard no matter what trim level, but you get different designs. And these specific wheels are a part of the bespoke options. So the bespoke package is, it gives you some sort of extra options on top of the typical options, and it'll give you a certificate that's signed by the LC chief engineer as well as the VP of marketing. There's been a little bit of misinformation floating around. I noticed in some of the the publication from some other outlets, they noted that the bespoke build included the sport package as standard, but that's not actually true. You don't get the rear damper, you don't get the limited slip differential with the bespoke package. This is just essentially a set of primarily aesthetic options, but I'll go through what's part of the bespoke package and what's not here. But again, the 21s, these specific 21s are part of this bespoke package. These Pilot Sport S5s are going to be standard on the LC 500. And this, if you know anything about tires, the Pilot Sport 4S is sort of your gold standard summer performance street tire. And this PSS 5 is the next evolution of the 4S. So this is a really good tire for the street, for something that's a little more performance oriented, even though this is more like GT style, but very good, very sticky tire. These are going to be your standard brakes on this one. Again, that sport package that I mentioned would get you the more performance oriented brakes, get you a little extra stopping power, but these brakes, these are totally fine for the street. I feel like most of the time you're buying this car, you're probably not taking it to the track. This is more of your cruiser. Maybe you'll throw it down some canyons every once in a while, but this is more of a cruiser, and these brakes are really pretty good, these stock brakes here. Note that these mirrors did fold up. We got this nice design through here with the LED turn signal in there. You can unlock that from the door. Blind spot monitoring in there. The power folding. We got these sticks here because designers hate door handles. Got to get those out of the way. So you can kind of push that in or pop it out to lock. So you got keyless access there. I love this design through here. So this chrome plated design up top here is supposed to look like a traditional Japanese sword. Like every part of this car, every piece of the design like has some kind of meaning and some kind of like real thought behind it. Absolutely love it. All this black through here is supposed to make it look like the roof is floating, which is pretty cool, a pretty cool look. So it looks like it's coming up and then it just sort of floating in the air. This one has the carbon fiber roof. Again, that's part of this bespoke package. Typically you would get the glass roof. This one, I know I said bespoke is primarily an aesthetic thing, like most of the options are aesthetic. Technically, this does lower your center of gravity a little bit because the carbon fiber roof is going to weigh a little bit less than the glass roof, but it's not going to make a huge difference in performance. Of the haunches through here, we've got some cooling down here for the wheels, for the brakes. Absolutely beautiful. Now it is fairly low. You do have to watch out down here. It's only about 5.4 inches off the ground. That's the ground clearance numbers for it. But honestly, I haven't really had any issues with scraping. Typically, when I back out of my driveway, if I have a lower car, I have an issue with the front end scraping, especially if it has a big splitter on it or something. This one here, I really haven't had any problems with it bottoming out. So not really a huge issue there unless you really have a big steep lip at the end of your driveway. Back end here also absolutely gorgeous, and the sounds that come out of the back end are as beautiful as this car is. We've got the quad exhaust going on for those big V8 noises. Love the way this thing sounds. And again, they put so much thought into all the design here. We got the LED taillights going on. These are supposed to look like jet afterburners. Your brake lights here are supposed to look like jet afterburners. Love that look. They're very, very cool little effect there. We got the parking sensors across the back. That's going to be standard on all the LCs. You don't have to option that or anything, as of course is the backup camera there. Got the rear wing here. This is a speed activated wing. So at 50 miles an hour, that wing will go up. That is part of the bespoke package. In this case, that is one of the bespoke options, but you do also get that if you option the sport package. But remember, those are not the same. They're not one and the same. Sport package is a separate thing. And then you can pop this trunk open from the key here. Another thing you can do on this key is, if you have the subscription, you can pull up your phone, remote start it from your phone, or you can pull out the key and triple tap the lock button and hold it down. It'll start up the car. You can be out here while it's starting up, listen to those V8 noises on cold start. But that is only if you have the subscription. Otherwise, that will not work. You also have your trunk open button, which opens up into 5.4 cubic feet of space. That is slightly bigger than a Miata, so it's got that going for it. Wish it was like a lift back sort of design, like the F-Type. You get a lot more space that way. But you know, it's enough for a couple of bags here. If you're going on a long trip with one other person, you're probably not going to pack your whole family into here or anything for a road trip, but it's enough space for what this car is typically going to be used for. And no spare tire or anything under here. Lift the floor up. You got access to your battery down there, but no spare, unfortunately. And of course, we have a grab handle. Don't want to be rubbing your hands all over the paint. The ingress egress here is not too bad with these nice long doors, especially with the memory seats. This seat will pull back and move forward when you get in and out of it. Great little touch there. The biggest news here for the interior is the updated infotainment. So Lexus has finally updated their trackpad and their latest software. So if you're coming from another Lexus, you can actually move your profile over to this car, but not a whole lot of information in here, but it is nice and simple and easy to use. You just got your main menu buttons down the side, works almost like a phone, really easy to use, really intuitive. Plus it's got all the voice commands and you don't have to use the trackpad. The only thing that's a little bit annoying that's buried in there is your seats, your heated and ventilated seats, which are standard, but you do have this button right here so you can access those nice and easily. You've also got easy access to your 360 camera. You've got a nice big power knob so you can turn it up to 11. Actually, it'd be turning it down to 11. 11's not really that loud in this car. Got your emotional support bar over here. You do have physical HVAC controls across here. I am going to nitpick a little bit here because we are a $100,000 car. Do wish these buttons were a little bit nicer here, a little bit too plasticky. Wish there were metal buttons, but that is a little bit nitpicky here. Again, just because of the price point. We've got our bespoke build badge, one cup holder in here. So if you have 4 people in here, you all got to fight over that cup holder there. A little bit of extra space under here, USB-A and a USB-C and a 12-volt. So this blue and white that we got going on here is part of the bespoke build. There are a few different color options here for this interior, but for the bespoke build, you get the option to do this blue and white. And I'm gonna go ahead and say I would not option the white. So first rule of white interiors is probably don't wear jeans, which I'm breaking that rule right now. And I'm sure a lot of people that have been in this car in its 5,700 mile life at this point have broken that rule as well. So the seats are getting a little bit stained, but the biggest thing actually is in the doors over there. For some reason, in the door cards where it's white over by the driver's side is getting all stained. And so I just would not go with the white interior. That's me, my personal thing. This is a press car. A lot of people have been in it. A lot of people that probably don't care too much about messing up the interior. So maybe if you take a little bit better care of it, you can keep the whites white. But personally, I would just stay away from it. This one has the standard 12 speaker sound system in it. You can option a 13 speaker Mark Levinson sound system. I'm going to say this standard sound system is actually pretty good. I mean, 12 speakers in this small space, and it's pretty clear. I'm actually a pretty big fan of the bass sound system in this one. And you can listen to your music through Android Auto or Apple CarPlay wirelessly since we have this updated infotainment system that I mentioned. We even got home link up here with the auto dimming mirror, so no need to throw your garage door opener in here. Just set up that home link. No sunglasses holder. You gotta keep those sunglasses on your head. Like the leather wrapping, I'm not a super big fan of the blue on the leather. I like it in the suede. I don't love the blue on the leather, but that's gonna be personal taste, of course. Nice, easy to use buttons here in the steering wheel. Nice big magnesium paddle shifters. It's got the typical Lexus layout for the gauge cluster, which is fine. It's got a decent amount of information in there that you can cycle through. I like that you can get the big tack right in the middle. You can even look at your rear wing position. Since this one has the retractable wing, you can tell whether it's up or down by looking in there or just look in the mirror. Not really sure why that's important enough to make it into there. Or there's a button right here. You can even just look at the button. Not sure why that one made it into the gauge cluster. But I kind of wish they had gone with an analog look. I feel like that takes away, like, there's a pretty classy interior overall. It's got this is a little bit tacked on, but they did, I mean, at least they made it sort of flush with this. It's not, it could have been a lot worse. They could have just stuck it up on top of here. So not too bad there, but I do feel like the gauge cluster, the graphics in there kind of take away from it a little bit. Never been the biggest fan of the Lexus graphics. I think an analog cluster there, some analog gauges would really make this even classier here. But again, I'm nitpicking here just because of this price point. Overall, this interior is super comfortable. It's super nice. We've got the power adjustable seats with the memory that I mentioned, heat and ventilation. You got this little two-piece thing going on. Looks kind of like a sweater going over the top of it. But these are very comfortable. I do wish they had a little bit more adjustability, like adjustable bolsters, though the bolsters in this do hold me pretty well. 5'7", around 200 pounds, if that helps you at all get your bearings on the bolsters here. And of course, you're going to want to sit in one before you buy it anyway and check out how the fit is. These are leather wrapped, the semi-aniline leather. There's also a suede option, an Alcantara option, and then there are sport seats if you get the sport package. So these are like the standard semi-aniline leather ones, just the color here is part of the bespoke package. It does technically have two back seats. I cannot sit up straight back there. And again, I'm only 5'7", and the seats actually bumped into my legs. So if you're like putting kids back there, maybe you can get one kid on the passenger side, push this seat all the way up. Or if you're like 4 feet tall, then maybe you can fit somebody in here in the back there if you get the seat all the way shoved up. Really not much space at all. Plus they're going to be suffocating a little bit because there's no air back there. There's no vents. They don't have any kind of vents back there or anything. But the front seats here, super comfortable, super classy. Really, really nice place to be. Pop the wing here for maximum parking lot downforce. All right, so as always, I've been daily driving this car as well as pushing it a bit here and there, getting some spirited drives in over the last week here, and I will cover all of that. Of course, it is a GT car. It is a Lexus. So first and foremost, it has to be comfortable. You have to be able to live with this day to day. And this is absolutely something you can daily drive. Absolutely something you can live with day to day, take on a long road trip. It is very comfortable. I will say the bar is high for Lexus ride quality. For a Lexus, this is a harsh ride. Generally speaking, it is really not. It's really just on the rougher roads and you get bounced around a little bit, but you do have the different drive modes here. You pop it into comfort mode and it'll get a little bit softer. You pop it up into sport plus, it'll get a little bit stiffer for those more spirited drives. But for the most part, really, it is more than bearable, even in Sport Plus. It is also very quiet in here for the most part. We do have high-performance tires on it, so once you get into some of those rougher roads, again, like some of the rougher highways especially, get a bit of tire noise coming in, you just turn up the radio a little bit, and the active sound cancellation kicks in. This thing has to have active sound cancellation because I'm not talking about like cranking up the volume. I'm saying like you just turn up the volume a little bit and all of that sound just disappears. Very nice, comfortable, quiet ride. Also great visibility, which is not something you typically get out of a coupe like this. Usually you get a pinhole in the back that you can see out of, but this one, nice wide big window in the back. Visibility is really good. Plus we got these long doors, so no real big blind spot going on over here. You really get great visibility all around. Plus you got the blind spot monitoring in there, the rear cross traffic alert. You got the Lexus 2.5 safety and driver's assist system. So this is not the latest and greatest, but it is an upgrade from last year. There is a 3.0 system that Lexus is using in some of their other models, but the 2.5 still gets you the blind spot monitoring, the rear cross traffic alert, the pedestrian monitoring. It gets you the lane shove assist, where it'll shove you back into your lane a little bit. You can turn that off really easily, though, if that is something that annoys you. And it's got the lane tracing going on, which is a big upgrade from the 2023 LC500. It doesn't seem like a big deal to have lane tracing, something that'll kind of keep you centered in your lane. But really, on those long road trips, it really does help with fatigue. And it does help just take the burden off of making those little micro adjustments. Again, it doesn't sound like much, but it is really a nice feature to have, that coupled with the adaptive cruise, the radar cruise. So it just makes it a little bit easier on those long road trips. Now, where the 2.5 system starts to fall apart a little bit more than the 3.0, and a lot of these systems, honestly, when you start getting into the curves, you have that lane tracing on, and you start getting into these sharper and sharper curves, then you'll get the lane shove assist fighting with the lane tracing a little bit, and it kind of falls apart a little bit. Whereas the 3.0 is a lot better about that. It's really more for those long road trips, those long stretches of highway. Now, of course, this does also have to be good at spirited drives if you want to push it a little bit. It is not the track weapon. You know, there are other cars out there that are better track weapons, and this one doesn't even have the sport package or the dynamic handling package on it. It doesn't have the rear steering, doesn't have the limited slip differential, it doesn't have the upgraded brakes, doesn't have the performance dampers. Honestly, it doesn't need those things, because that's not what this car is for. This car is not your track weapon. Car is not your tight technical road car, tight technical mountain roads, and it can still handle a twisty back road perfectly fine. I mean, if you really want to push it, you want to take it to the track, more power to you. You want to take it down those technical roads, more power to you. Get the limited slip differential, get the performance dampers, get the upgraded brakes. But if you are mostly just keeping this on the street, maybe doing some twisty back roads here and there, this is totally fine as is. You can put your foot into it. It does have a little bit of throttle lag. A lot of automatics have that. Even if you put it up in a Sport Plus mode, then it will still get that little bit of lag, and then you get the big shove, super quick, no problems there. You got the paddle shifters here if you want to shift for yourself. You can pop it when you switch the modes. It will also affect how hard the transmission is going, how much it lets the gears sort of ring out. But if you want to use the paddle shifters, it's nice big paddle shifters. You can use these as well. It's not going to be like dual clutch quick. It's not going to be PDK quick. It's not going to be even like ZF 8-speed quick if you're familiar with any of those transmissions. But it is still plenty quick to have a good time. Responds plenty well enough to have a good time. And you get this power build because it's naturally aspirated. You get this nice linear power build, and it will let you hit the rev limiter. If you want to bounce it off the rev limiter, it will not auto upshift for you. So that is on you. I don't know why you would want to bounce it off the rev limiter. You probably want to shift a little bit before that so you don't hit fuel cutoff and then you get slowed down. But it is something that's there. It's not going to auto upshift on you, which is really the main thing. So you get up into 7,300 is about where that rev limiter is. And with this being low, with it being long, with it being wide, with it having these nice sticky tires, these very good high performance street tires, even when you start getting into these twisty roads, you start pushing it, it really grips very well. It remains very composed. It feels almost effortless, and I have not had any issues with it losing grip. I haven't had any issues with it oversteering on me or understeering on me on this twisty road. Again, this is not tight, technical, super, 180 degree turns down a mountain or anything, but this is a nice twisty back road. I have not had any kind of problems with unwanted oversteer, unwanted understeer. You want to turn off traction control, you can do that right here. Throw it around a little bit more. But it really is very well composed. There's not even that much body roll. It just feels very effortless. You want to put it up into Sport or Sport Plus, and your steering will get a little bit heavier too. If you leave it in normal mode, you can almost just steer with one finger here, and it's like you don't even have to try. The brakes are very confident here. Again, it doesn't have the upgraded brakes. You really don't need the upgraded brakes. I'm saying a lot of this like it's like fighting me as a car enthusiast. You know, I want the best, the fastest. You got to get the limited slip differential. You got to get the better brakes. You got to get the rear steer. You got to get all the performance bits. But really, honestly, this car doesn't need that stuff, and it's totally fine at the base level here. This one, you can actually get a heads-up display too. This one doesn't have that, so I can't really talk to what's in that, though I have been in that LS. If you watch the LS video, then I assume it's pretty similar to that, but it's totally fine without the heads-up display, even though I do wish I could see my gauge cluster a little better. At least I could see like the speed limit or something. I always have this problem where it does have this power adjustable wheel, but I can't get it into a good spot where I feel like I'm comfortable and I can see the tack well. But overall, this driving experience is absolutely lovely. You know, I am, again, like I said, enthusiast. I want the thing with all the performance bits that I can throw through corners. I would give up some of the ride quality in order to get something there's a little bit more hardcore that can take a corner even better. But this is like making me second guess all of that, because I would love this as a daily driver. It's just so easy to drive and so comfortable and still quick. Sounds very good. Give it a little bit of throttle, you get a little bit of a flutter. It's got that active exhaust, so you want to open it up. You can put it into Sport Plus. Even in normal mode though, get a little bit of a flutter to it. It sounds really good. It's quick, it's comfortable, it's very composed. Really hard to argue with this driving experience. It's no wonder that everyone loves this thing. At the end of the day, this car is pretty darn close to perfect when you consider what a Grand Tourer is supposed to do. It is absolutely beautiful. You can easily daily drive this thing, take it on a long road trip. It is plenty comfortable enough for that. Sounds wonderful as well. If you're someone that's canyon carving, maybe going on the track, sure, there are better cars for that, but this one still can handle a twisty road pretty well. Depending on your roads, probably don't really even need the limited slip differential. The Sport Pack with the bigger brakes and all of that, really not all that necessary if you're going to be mostly on the street here. Maybe there are a couple of nitpicky things on the interior. Could use a wireless charger, but the updated infotainment here for 2024 is absolutely a game changer here. The trackpad was just terrible, and for me personally, I am usually a function over form kind of person. I would rather give up a little bit of the ride quality, give up a little bit of the extra features and stuff, get something that's better dynamically, something that I can throw hard through corners. And honestly, this is still an absolutely wonderful place to be. This thing has converted me a little bit to the Grand Tourers. If you want to see how this compares to an SL, a Mercedes SL, one's a little bit of a different price point, but I'll have one of those coming up here pretty soon. I've got a BMW Z4 with the manual coming up if you want to see how it compares to that as well. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.